Hey y'all, it's your girl Kai, aka the one that got away, aka make your heartbeat hopscotch, aka your neighborhood reporter. Listen, this is long overdue. This is long overdue. I've been meaning to create content and come out with videos and just talk to the people because y'all know I'm a people person. And if you don't know, now you know I'm a people person, okay? And I've just been going back and forth, like what to say, what not to say, what to talk about, what not to talk about. But we're finally here. This is finally happening, and I'm excited. I don't know what to call this just yet. We're just gonna have a moment with one another. We're just gonna vibe out. I'm coming to y'all real comfy, casual, just here talking to y'all. And hopefully, y'all can vibe out with me and just get into the things of the things. Before I get started, I have to acknowledge my girls, SB and Nitty Litty. Shout out to them too. Listen, just a Black girl podcast. That's if you didn't know. I'm a part of a podcast. I'm one of three hot girls, okay? Original city girls, okay, here in the Yay area, here in the Bay Area. Yeah, it's just we've been trying to come up with ways of creating content. It's just we're so busy and they're both out here doing great things in their communities and just being so successful. So it's so hard for us to get together and create content. But coming soon, we will eventually get back to it. So y'all stay tuned for Just a Black Girl podcast. It's a lot of fun. Talk about a lot of things, get different perspective on the way we're just moving and grooving out here in life from a Black woman's perspective. Hello. So yeah, shout out to them, SB and Nitty Litty. Okay. And so as y'all can tell, I'm feeling good. I'm energetic. And I was thinking like, okay, what to talk about? There's so much going on. There's so much going on in the political world. And I could talk about it, but I'm not going to. I can't give it, can't do it. We will be here all day. And just know that I see what's happening. And that's that. And that's that. I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I talk about that's fun, lighthearted? So I figured since later on down the road, I do plan on making videos that are a little heavier, that are kind of talking about hot topics or just giving my perspective on different subjects and things of that nature. I figured, okay, why not come out the gate? Let me be a little vulnerable and open up before I start getting into other people's business and giving my unsolicited advice about things. I figured I could tell y'all my business just a little bit, just a tiny bit. I'm a private person, so normally I don't do this. And if I'm stumbling over words, if I'm doing that, like pausing for a long time, for a long time, if y'all can't understand me, bear with me. This is my first time making this video, so just roll with me, okay? I'm usually a private person. I'm not used to being in front of a camera and all of that. So, but hopefully we can have fun, and hopefully I will learn to become more comfortable recording and filming and all of that good stuff. So I know some of you are like trying to figure it out. Like, what am I going to talk about? What is she going to say? What's going on? See, I've decided to talk about my experience trying to give myself to these streets. Yep, your girl has tried to be out and about in these streets, and I'm very much so a sidewalk girl. That's what I've come to the conclusion to. That's what I've realized. I'm not for the streets. I'm not for the streets. And the streets look fun from a distance here on the sidewalk. Like, it looks so fun. It looks like I need to be there, but it's not for me. It's not for me. And so we're gonna talk about that and get into the things of the things. So a little bit about me and my dating history. And oh, if you didn't know, that's what I meant. I'm talking about dating and my experience. That's what I mean when I say give myself to these streets. Because really, honestly, the dating world, a whole new world, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, a lot going on, and it's very street light. It's very street activity. Okay, it's a lot. So a little bit history about me and dating. There's not much there. It's not much to talk about because your girl is not, I'm not a dater like that. I've never been someone who just gets out there, go on dates and socialize in that aspect. It's very much so, I'm a flirty type of girl. So just like growing up, high school, all of that, I was never really, I was more so like the homegirl. So like guys always looked at me as the friend. I was the homie, cool, that sort of thing. I never really, like I was very much so in the friend zone. And whenever I was approached to exit out the friend zone, the approach was always trifling. Like it was always, while in a group like socializing with friends, nothing was ever said. But later on, next thing you know, you get like, I get this random message on Instagram. This was back like before the DMs. Like, well, the DMs are slowly starting to kind of happen, but like y'all remember back when like people had to like go and find like a 20-week-old, 36-week-old photo of you to shoot their shot? Like I'm used to that kind of thing, and that very much so was a thing that would happen to me. So like guys wouldn't say nothing to me out and about. It was always kind of like private sort of thing. So I was always like, because I was never that type of girl. Like if you got that energy with me, you need to have that energy with me in person. If anything, I'm more of like an in-person type of girl. I need to see what you coming with. I need to see what you bring in. I need to see if you're confident, all that sort of thing. So it was either some of that whole backdoor thing happening or just, I don't know, like guys we would flirt. It would be that for a while and then things would just get weird. And for me personally, I've always been, I'm like flirty, but I'm old fashioned. So it's like, you know, we can talk, but I can only talk for so long. I'm not the type of person who likes to be in the whole talking stage, never really put a name on it. We're just gonna keep saying that we're talking. I'm not that kind of girl. I don't like that. I need clarity. I need direction. No, what is this? What are we doing? I need to know because I'm very much so gonna match the type of energy you put in. Whatever you put in, I'm gonna put out. So if you want to take this as a little, we're just talking, nothing serious, I'm not going to take you seriously. Why should I? Like, why? And that's another thing. I've always had very much so, like, dominant energy. So if you're a guy and you weren't secure in yourself and all of that, wasn't gonna work. It wasn't gonna work. And it's not that I have a problem with being quote unquote feminine. It's just my form of femininity is just even me and my softness of it all, still very much so like in your face. That's just my upbringing, how my family is all together. Like we're very much so just like type of energy, dominant type of energy. That's the only word I can come up with. And so yeah, like me and dating, I was like, I would attempt it, I would try to see, but it just was always cloudy and I didn't like being in the gray area. You know, your girl is a Pisces, so, and I know some people cannot stand when zodiacs are brought up. I'm indifferent. I don't care. Like, I acknowledge them, but I don't also like have to talk about them and things like that. Like, I do know that in relationships, regardless of zodiac signs, people are people. So you don't have to just base things off of zodiac signs. But anyway, I digress. So that's my history. Your girl just was never really serious about dating. I'll say that. I was never really serious. All throughout high school, flirt here and there. I've had some crazy stories I may get into later on in this video, but yeah, it was none of that. And then I got to a point where I was like, I'm focusing on me. I don't want to acknowledge men at all. I don't want to give them the time of day. None of that. I just want to focus on whatever it was that I needed to focus on, whether it be school, work, whatever. I'm just focusing on me. Blinders. So I did that for a while. Now, I am a person, I am a human being. And like other human beings, of course, temptation, of course, every now and then it'll come across my mind of like, I wouldn't mind being booed up. I wouldn't mind, seeing what's out there, seeing the things of the things, seeing what the world has to offer. And so recently I've decided, you know what? I've reached a point in my life where I've taken care of me. I've done me for a minute. I've got some, successes under my belt. Let's see what these streets is hitting for. Let's see what's what. Let's just get out there. Whatever perspective I used to have of guys, it's different. I will say this. It's different from high school, trying to just figure it out. Everybody's really just, I feel like high school, that sort of thing, even a little bit of college, a little bit, it's very much so everybody just shooting shots. Everybody just seeing what works, what don't work. Don't know. Everybody thinks that they know what they're doing. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows how to interact in a relationship. It's very experimental. It's very much like we're just going to throw it out there. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Compared to now as an adult, we kind of know what we want. We're kind of a little more clear on it. So it's not so much just like a free-for-all, but at the same time, this new era of dating, which I had to learn, I'm gonna get into, very much so entitlement. Like, people are really entitled when it comes to dating. So I'm gonna get into how I had to come to that conclusion. I'm gonna get into the things of the things. So, okay, let me go back. So I'm like, okay, I want to see what it's hitting for. I want to see what's what. I want to see what's what. And so I would like have these talks with my friends and my coworkers, and I'm like, what should I do? What should I be out here doing? I know some people say like go to the bars and just go out and make yourself just more available. And I know some people are talking about these apps. And so I'm just like, okay, well, I go out. I do, I see a little bit of this here and there, but I'm just like, it's still not enough. It's still not giving me what I needed to give. So your girl went on these apps. Listen, before any of y'all say, I couldn't do it, I wouldn't do it, I was that girl. I would always be like, I can't do apps. How am I supposed to, like, that's weird. Talking to somebody you've never met, and then there's all these different horror stories once people do meet them. It's just, I was like, I cannot be on these apps. I then got on these apps. I got on them and I said, I'm gonna give it a shot. Where should I start? Where should I begin? So I'm gonna start. Okay, I'm gonna start with. Okay, I know where I'm gonna start with. I'm like, okay, let me get it together. Let me figure out what app should I go on. Now me, I got a thing for black men. Love them to death. Love everything about a black man. And that's no shade towards no any other race. No shade. I'm open to it, but preference-wise, love me a black man. So my friends convinced me. They're like, okay, you can get on this app. I'm not gonna say the app's name. Y'all know. Us in the black community, we know. Once something blows up, we all know. We know what's what. It don't take long for us to spread the news. And from the looks on, and sorry if y'all can hear me banging on my table, my apologies. But we know, and from the looks of that app, I just was like, oh, this is crazy. So anyway, let me just walk y'all through it. So I'm going, making the profile, this, that, the third. Got my little pictures, and I'm not really a picture type of person. Like, that's another story for another day. So make the pictures, write my little bio or whatever, set the profile. Okay, boom. We're in the app. Immediately, I see some familiar faces. So I'm kind of like, okay, like, it was weird to me because there were people that, like, I know within here in the city is real small. People think that it isn't, but it is. So seeing some familiar faces, I'm like, I know you in person, and I know what you give in person. So this whole online persona of you, giving it a little side eye, but who am I to judge? I can't judge because here I am on this app like they are. So they probably looking at me thinking the same thing, like, she on here? Yep, I'm on here. Let's just swipe past one another so we ain't even got to address none of that. Okay, so I'm on the app. I'm swiping and I'm looking at some of these profiles, and just everywhere, all you see in majority of these bios, I'm not looking for nothing serious. I don't want no relationship. I just want to kick it with so-and-so. I just want to, link up. I just want to hook up. And I'm just like, now granted, I wasn't expecting nothing like super serious on an app. Of course, you have to build that, get to know somebody, all of the things, trust, all those sort of things. You got to get to that. But I was more so just shocked with how open everybody is with this whole, we're not putting a name on it, we're not being in a relationship. So now I'm like, okay, I'm back at square one. Because I don't want to be here wasting my time or wasting anybody else's time flirting and talking, and we're not gonna hook up in that way, sweets. We're not, sweetheart, we're not doing it. I'm not doing it. And so eventually I would have wasted your time because you're clearly looking for something I'm not giving up. And that's okay for you, but for me, I'm not doing it. And I was just like, maybe again, me being old fashioned, I'm just like, ugh. Like, who advertised that? Like, essentially, you're just advertising. I don't know what it is you're trying to advertise, because really, honestly, truthfully, these dudes, they not out here giving it up like they are trying to suggest. Okay, a lot of these dudes are out here trying to paint this picture like they are just all that, like they got the best in the world, and ugh. How could you possibly, if you are, to me, this has always been my thing, if you are trying to lead a conversation or an experience just based off of sex, you don't have much to give. If anything, like, you don't have nothing to offer. Like, why is that something that has to be discussed right off the gate, like right off the bat? Why is that? You don't need to be on this app, sir. You need to be on something that caters to to your needs. You don't need to be on here talking to, no. In fact, you didn't even have to go through the motions of making an app. They got girls outside for that. No shade, but I'm just saying, like, to see so many men who were just like, I just need this, and that's it. I'm just like, that was just crazy to me. I'm like, we're not even gonna pretend to flirt. We're not even and I mean, what I mean by flirt, like, I mean, like, get to know one another. Like, like, you crack jokes with somebody, kind of check their temperature, see what the personality is like. You something. know something about this person. No, you just want to jump in to that. Like I seen this one guy straight up, he was like, don't hit me up if you're looking for something serious. Don't hit me up if you want to, like, I'm not looking for a girlfriend or that sort of thing. And I'm like, that's like, you're entitled to feel that way. But to be all have that be on your profile and to be all just blunt with it, like, you're not getting that over here. But in the meantime, in between time, this is what I want. Questionable activity for me. And if this is how you're trying to, like, if this is, and this is probably another one of my issues. I'm real big on personal brand, like how you represent yourself, how you carry yourself. Oh, I'm about to get into it. I'm about to get into it. I'm about to get into all the things to think. Sorry if you're a guy, it's gonna make it seem like I'm picking on you, but listen, this is just my experience, okay? And other videos, I could probably be a little bit more nicer to y'all, but in this video, it is what it is. I'm gonna say what I want to say. But so yeah, like I'm very big on how somebody carries themselves. So yes, first impressions are somewhat important to me. Granted, everybody has them days. Sometimes you might meet somebody and they have an off day, but overall, that does have an impact on me. So in my mind, if you are so comfortable proclaiming to random people, because this app, you could come across, you don't know who you're gonna come across. If that is what you just giving straight off the rip, that is you on a daily. Like, that is just truly a part of your character. Because I don't believe that. I don't, like, especially when you first meeting somebody, not everything is just, it's not, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't, like, when you meet people off the rip, they're gonna try to do what's most comfortable. Sometimes, granted, their nerves may get involved and that could kind of throw you off, but for the most part, they're gonna try to do what feels most comfortable to them. And so, especially being on an app, like, people get real kind of comfortable and bold, granted, and then that too also can lead to sometimes people, again, having certain energy behind the screen and not in person. But overall, people are going to do what feels most natural to them. So therefore, you're comfortable. You are comfortable being this just wild and out there. And you've clearly, I don't know, maybe you've come across girls who are just willing to, hey, and just have this little trade-off with you and call it a day. Blows my mind, not for me, can't do it. And so, y'all, I remember it was New Year's Eve, and I was like young. It was an 18 and up club, so I believe I was like either 18 or 19. And so it was New Year's Eve. I was out with my friends, and it was like, of course, New Year's Eve, 18 up club, everybody's gonna be, we all underage, so a lot of people are there. But it was like this football group that was there at the club. And so I remember me and this one guy kept making eye contact. And me, I'm very much so like, one time is a coincidence. The second time we checking each other out. The third time we lock eyes, who's gonna make what move? Like, who's gonna approach who? So I kind of, like, I was peeping him, he was peeping me. And so I'm just, I'm dancing, whatever, having fun with my friends. And, we just kind of like he and I kind of end up next to one another. And so, like, we dance or whatever. And somehow in between, I don't know what happened, but I like get whisked away. Like, people come between us. This is like a movie. I get like whisked away and like turned over into like this other guy's direction, and he's like somewhere else. And so, like, I'm dancing, but I'm confused, whatever. I don't really think too much of it. And then this guy approaches me and he's like, oh, what's your Instagram? That sort of thing. Cause people are more likely to give out Instagrams now than they are numbers, which I'm not mad at, cause I don't need people calling me. So we exchange Instagrams, but at the same time, I'm thinking, like, where did this other guy go? And as I look up, he sees me, exchanging contact. Now, granted, Buddy and I, we're not together. So, can't nobody feel no way about nothing. But what I then later found out was that, like, they were all on the same team. So I guess for him, of course, he's like, all right, so the homie just got her Instagram, da 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 da. That's a wrap. So I just remember feeling like, ugh. In that moment, I wasn't the one that got away. He was for sure the one that got away. but still, had he spoken up sooner, he would have got the Instagram beforehand. But whatever, oh boy did, and it was just like, okay, whatever. So later on, like a day or two goes by, he hits me up on Instagram, and we're talking, and I'm just like, something about him seemed off to me. Like something about him just seemed, I couldn't put my finger on it. Like he was, y'all know when guys try to like lead with humor, but they're not funny. So it just leaves you in an awkward position. Like, sir, this isn't working. But I don't know, me, because I don't really want to be rude. And it is also kind of funny because it's like, this is awkward. you think you're cracking jokes and it's not landing. But me being me, I'm not gonna be mean. And like I said, I'm a little flirty, so it's whenever you want to talk a little bit, we can talk a little bit. So I remember him, like, he was like, yeah, I'm a football player, and he said something else. I think he was like originally from somewhere else. But yeah, he's like, he's a football player, and he's trying to like do some YouTube stuff. Like he was talking about how he wanted to like build on social media. And this is back when people were just starting to kind of capitalize off of like YouTube channels and things like that. So I guess it's something he wanted to do. And he was like talking about couple channels, and I was like, at first I'm like, okay. But then he was like, yeah, so that's something eventually I want to make videos, doing couple videos. And I'm just like, okay, next. And so next thing I know, we talk again, and he's like, oh, let's video chat. So we get on a little video, whatever, chat, and oh boy just decides to wild out. Like he's just, all of a sudden the conversation just turns into some little spicy. And I'm just like, immediately no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, here's the thing. How can I say this? Read the room. If you're not capable of reading the room, men out there, if y'all are not capable of reading the room and seeing what's what, you gotta go. You gotta go. I'm very much somebody, like, I'm very aware of myself and what's going on around me, and like I could read a room. So for this man, it's one thing if I was giving you that sort of spicy energy back. It went from like, I think he brought up the nightclub, and then somehow, some way, he just decides to change directions and get all spicy in the conversation. And I'm just like, is this what's happening? Is this what's going on? Because I don't know if I was ready for it. And I don't know if I don't know about this. This is okay. Is this happening? This is happening. I guess this is happening. So he is just talking spicy and talking about things that he would like want to do. And me being 18, 19, I'm just like, this isn't happening. This isn't. Now I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. This wasn't my first time being in like this kind of situation. I've been in situations where dudes all of a sudden, like I had one guy, again, like I considered the homie, out of nowhere be like, oh, we should hook up. And I'm just like, what? We should do what? Why should we do that? Who said we should do that? Why did you think of that? Why did you consider me to do that? I don't give that. So I've had situations just come up where just randomly I'm just like, mm-mm, 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 no, mm-mm. And so, and so, yeah, like I've, in those situations, I usually know how to like maneuver myself and get out of that. So boom, bam, back to oh boy, talking spicy. Oh, I would do this, I would do that. So I'm just like, womp 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 womp. You're out. Like this is we're not. I already knew in my mind before anything else happened. I'm just like, yeah, no, we're not. I'm not talking to you again. If this is conversation number 3, chances are in your other conversations with girls, conversation number 3, you telling her I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and chances are you probably do that. Some of that, maybe not as good as you trying to say you do, but you do that. That's a part of your lifestyle, and I don't need that to be a part of mine. I don't know how many other women you've came across, and boom, bam, you doing this, that, and the third. How are you telling me, and we just met, what you want to do? How do you know that I want to do that? How do you know I like that? And then it's like, how do you think, like, what? I don't know what be going through guys' minds. I really don't. It's just like, no, sweets, I'm not doing that. Sweetheart, I can't do that. I can't give you that. That's just weird. I don't know you like that. I don't know you like that. I don't know. And so, conversation carried on. Some things happened. He decided, I'm not gonna get into all that. I thought I was gonna get spicy with y'all, but I can't get that spicy with y'all. And so I hang up and I immediately block this man from everything. Just block him from everything. Sir, sir, you gotta come up off that Instagram. Nah, I cannot, like, I can't, to me, I can't respect you after that. And no, I don't need to have a conversation with you and be like, hey, by the way, no, not at all. Because when you and I were talking and I was clearly showing to you, and might I add, your girl wasn't encouraging it. I was very much so like, I remember he said something and I started looking at, what did I have? I think I had like my little iPod at the time. And so I'm just like looking at that, like just scrolling. And he's like, oh, I don't have your attention. And I'm just like, no, you don't have my attention, because clearly I am now turned off. Like, I don't want to use the words turn off, but like, I'm clearly just like, I'm cool off you. No, that is weird to me. Why did you think that that was acceptable? Why did you think that that was a thing to do? What did I, how did I portray myself to make you believe that I was comfortable with going this way? And it was just like, and you give off very accessible, easy access. Ugh, I don't want that. I don't like that at all. So had to boot him out. And so now fast forward, here I am as an adult trying to change my perspective. And I'm like, things have gotten worse. Things have gotten worse. I've come to the realization that like us in society, when we come to, when we deal with dating, we've become very transactional with one another. It's like, you give me this and then I'll give you a little of this. Or the conversation that I'm starting to see with people, like we're having these like weird trade-offs with one another. So lately this trending topic that's been going around is a lot of guys and women too are agreeing with it. It's like, if a girl gets with a high value man, she then has to deal with whatever comes her way with that. So okay. And so before I get into my opinion, some women are saying like the reason why they agree with that is because they're like, well, if you were able to experience some of these things you wouldn't have typically experienced, if he was able to provide financially for you, well, at least you got something out of that. And at least he was able to take care of this, that for you. And so you really didn't lose out. Okay. So you mean to tell me if I'm dating a guy who makes a substantial amount of money and he cheats on me, I should be able to tolerate that because he's paying a phone bill or he's paying whatever type of bill. Like, I should just chalk that up, eat that up because, he's coming out of pocket. Okay. So to me, again, old fashioned. I'm just letting y'all know because sometimes I recognize that I come up with things that could come off like a little biased. So I just want to have a fair and even conversation with everybody. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But growing up, I thought that was hoeing. Like I thought if a man is giving you money, then and then you're just like, okay, well I could go and just do this little wah 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 wah, but he paying me, so it is what it is, sweetheart. That is not a relationship. How is that and then it's like, how are we, huh? So you mean to tell me you are willing to deal with somebody who is giving you the below your standards because of money, because of finances, like that, like yeah, you can go cheat. Men are gonna be men. Men are gonna go in, they're gonna cheat. But if he's a high profile man, you gotta deal with that. What? That don't that don't make sense. That don't how are we what? Mm-mm. Hell no. Hell no. If anything, to me, you are losing value. You are allowing yourself, if you think that because you got a little money that you can now then run with whomever, Lisa, Pam, and all these other girls, that's depreciating your value. If you look at luxury brands, they purposely try to go, like Chanel just recently had a price increase. Like they constantly go and increase their prices because they don't want to be easily accessible. The moment they become easily accessible, they are no longer considered high value. Let me run that back. So if you're a man, a high profile man, and you are allowing yourself just to be surrounded with women and just going with this one and that one and all of these things, what are you really worth? Anybody can get to you. Anybody can have access to you. Oh no, you only want to apply that to women. These guys will be like, oh, I don't want a girl who's been with everybody. Okay, cool. But you've been with everybody. So what does that say about your self-worth and your value? Okay, I'm gonna let you marinate on that. And for the girls who are like, well, it is what it is. Huh? Let me tell you something. If I was a man, I would cheat too. And I know it's a contradictory, but hear me out. If women are going out saying, oh, I'm willing to tolerate you cheating if money is involved, well then that it is what it is. If all a guy has to do is provide for you financially, and then you gonna tolerate whatever come with it, what is the expectation? What is the standard? There is none. I don't understand how people are trying to form relationships built off of these uneven, the gray area contracts, these shady transactions, these shady trades, these shady deals with one another. Like, you give me this, and then I'm willing to give you that in return. Like, I'm willing not to expect much out of you because you're gonna do this. What are we doing? What is going on? Maybe I just don't need to date. Maybe I don't need to be in the dating world. How does that make sense to me? How does that make sense to anybody? I'm hearing some of these conversations that people are having, and I'm just like, how did we get to that point? Has social media done such that much of a number on us to where it's like we are willing to trade our values for an image? You're willing to sit here and paint this image of a relationship, but not actually hold the standards or values that it takes to actually build a relationship with somebody. Oh no, I don't want that. Y'all can have that. Y'all can have that. I don't need that. That is a waste of my time. It just don't, it's just not adding up. And so for me, it's just like the main thing that I feel like, I'm sorry, I keep playing with my hair, but the main thing that I think is missing from this conversation of quote unquote dating is that we are losing. The thing that isn't getting brought up is that us trying to find our equal. Find somebody that matches your energy. Okay? Find somebody that is on the same level as you in every aspect of your life. All this little, ladies, date somebody who's of high value and just make sure that you look good so that together you guys look good, and then you just deal with whatever. If that is what it takes to be with somebody who is quote unquote of high value, whatever it is, and that's another thing. Really, it's up to you to determine what is high value. Like what are we talking about? Are we strictly talking about money? Are you talking about somebody who has intellect? Are you talking about somebody who is spiritually there? Are you talking about somebody like what? That's a whole topic for another day. But if that is what is considered high value, get me a 9-to-5er. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where are the dudes with the 9-to-5s who don't have this expectation of, oh, if I cheat, she gonna stick with me. No. If that's the expectation you quote unquote high value men have, I don't want it. I don't need it. Give me somebody who works a 9-to-5. My bills will still be paid right on time. High value. What? No, don't need that. Find somebody who is of your equal. And I'm just so confused with why everybody feels as if we're all so completed and we got it all together by ourselves, we wouldn't be looking for relationships. Let's face it. Like, we know that we're not all the way there. That's why we go out and we look for relationships and we look for these experiences with people. Everybody trying to act like, oh, I'm this and I don't really like, what can you give me? What can you bring me? What do you have to offer me? Let me get on the ladies for a second. Let me be fair. Ladies, for us to diminish our light, because that's what we're doing. When we're sitting here having these conversations of like, well, just make sure you look good and therefore you can go and be in a setting to where you find this man who's of high value and that way he can do this, do that. Sweetheart, what? First off, y'all, this conversation is just so much for me. Let me say this. Women in general, we need to change our perception of this quote unquote high value man. This high value man does not, just because a man is making money doesn't mean he's going to be able to protect you. And what I mean by protect you, I'm not just meaning like physically being able to defend you. I mean protect your emotions. A lot of time women, we're getting with these men, some men themselves haven't been taught to deal with their own emotions. What makes you think that you can now trust him with yours? This man is afraid to cry. And you mean to tell me that you think you crying in front of him is going to help him to understand how you feel? He don't even know how he feel. So why do you think that you can be emotionally safe with him? He's not emotionally safe with himself. He's not capable of being vulnerable with himself. Oh, but because he's making money, what you gonna do? You gonna bottle that up and just not share that with him? You gonna call your friend up? It's only so many conversations you have with your friend and cry to her so many times before it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? Like, are you gonna stay with him and suck up your emotions? Or are you gonna find somebody who may not be making the 6-figure salary, but you feel safe with emotionally? Because I say this all the time. People don't teach you how to feel. They teach you how to express. So somebody can teach you how to nobody ever taught you what it felt like to be upset. They taught you how to express that. So they'll be like, oh, use your words. Don't hit anybody. Don't do any of that. Like, say, oh, I feel this. Like, so they teach you how to express, but they don't teach you how to feel. Nobody had to teach you what it felt like. Instantly what it feels like when you like somebody, when you don't like somebody. And I mean, like, just in general. Or when something made you angry, when something made you excited. Like, you feel that instantly. You don't have to be taught how to feel, and just feelings happen. So you are now going to try to teach yourself how to diminish how you truly are feeling just because of finances or just because of a status symbol. I don't care how much money he has. If you don't feel safe with him, you will never, ever, ever truly build no type of relationship with him, ever. And vice versa. All this, you just learn how to. I don't believe you can learn how to love somebody. Going back to my other statement, people teach you how to express, they don't teach you how to feel. So all of that, you're gonna learn to do this and accept that, and you will never. If something is of true value and moral and standard to you, that is gonna always be there. If you hold something, if you are like, I want to be with somebody who respects me and only wants to be with me, nothing in the world is going to change that. You may try to teach yourself to suck it up and not speak on it, but you're going to feel that. And I guarantee you, eventually that's going to spill out into the relationship. You can sit here and say, oh, well, if he making money, just tolerate it. That you can only tolerate it for so long because that feeling is still going to eat up inside of you. So all of this going back and forth, I'm keep saying that these uneven trade deals that we're doing, we need to stop that as a society. We need to get up off of that. Find somebody who is gonna match what you're on. All of this, I don't want no relationship. Why? Because you're too afraid to, and not just a relationship, but when people are like, oh, I don't want to put a name on it. In my mind, what that tells me is you're afraid to set a standard. You're afraid to make a commitment. And let me tell you something. I'd rather deal with somebody who's fearful than somebody who is not willing to commit to anything at all, right? Who is not willing to do anything. Because if a guy is like, oh, I like what we're doing now, like, say you kicking it with a dude or whatever for a long time, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Oh, well, I just like what we're doing. I like how this is going on. You, sir, I can't deal with it. I would rather deal with somebody who is like, you know what? I'm gonna be willing to progress with you. And also, it's okay if you're fearful. I know some dudes are like, I don't want to be in a relationship because I don't want to carry that weight of hurting somebody. That is normal. That is okay. I'd rather that be your mindset, because to me, it shows that you somewhat care. Versus a guy who is like, I don't want to deal with that. Because now in your mind, it's like you don't even want to try. You don't even want to have no sort of standard for yourself. What is the principles you're standing on, sir? What is making you be you at the end of the day? Like what do you, I'm almost at the point where I want to ask guys, like, what makes you a man in your mind? I don't care about society. What makes you a man? How, and I know for some people, like, some people, they don't really like that. But for me, this is just me, okay, I'm talking here. It's like, no, what makes you a man? What is it that you're standing on? What is it that your beliefs are? I need to know this, because if you're somebody who just wants to be, you just want things to come at you the easy way, you want me to sit here and oh, don't talk to nobody. I'm the only one you should be talking to. I'm the only one you should be going out with, this, that, and the third. I need to be on your time. I'm not that kind of girl. I don't do that. We're out here requiring all of these things. Everybody wants to sit up here and make all of these different transactions with one another, but nobody wants to be held accountable for it. That's what it is. It's like, we're going to do everything that couples do, but I don't really want to be held accountable. I don't really want you to expect me I don't want you to hold me accountable to your standards of being your boyfriend or your girlfriend. you don't need to be in a relationship, period. And you don't need to be dealing with nobody, period. Don't waste nobody's time, because that means you still got growth within you that you need to deal with. All of this being in the gray area, you can only do it for so long. Eventually, we have to start making decisions as adults. We have to start holding one another accountable. All this tolerating and lowering standards, that is temporary. That can only go on for so long. It is and it's draining to do that. We gonna sit up here and deal with all of the riffraff for a check. And sometimes it's not even for a check. Sometimes it's because people are afraid to be alone. Let's talk about it. Some people don't want to be by themselves. They'd rather have somebody be there. And you know what I say to that? Misery loves company. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't really want to be, I don't want to be alone. I like being in relationships. You're miserable in the inside. That's deep, but follow me. There's something about you that you don't like to sit with. Like it's some people, you're using people as a distraction. To the people out there who are like, they just see, they like to be in relationships. They don't like to not be in relationships. Like, these are people who could attach to somebody within a couple, like date 1 or 2 times, and they're like, okay, we can be a couple. And they're like, well, I just take risk on love and I just love love. No, you don't like to, you can't sit with yourself. You can't deal with yourself. And so this person is now a distractant for you. They're taking you off of what you need to focus on for you. And sometimes that, truthfully, it's hard. Like, it's hard to grow. And when our own flaws are brought to our attention, like, it's hard to deal with that at times. It's like, dang, now I gotta work on this and I gotta do this. That's hard to deal with. That don't mean you go run to a relationship. All that is doing is still adding trauma on top of trauma. Now, because once you get done with that relationship and that's over with and you didn't heal from that, you still got to take care of you at the end of the day. So you still got to address this thing that you've been trying to avoid with old boy or old girl. And all the while, you could have just addressed that to begin with. So some people, they know that they are miserable, but they rather be miserable with somebody else than be miserable with themselves. Take care of you first. Don't get in these relationships and think that you can get something out of somebody that's within you all along. Some things you can't get out of nobody else. Some things can't nobody else give you. Some things you can. We can learn from one another, but some things coming from within. So if you don't want to take the time to address that, to deal with that, you don't need to be dealing with people. And it's going to play out in relationships, ultimately. It's going to come out. It's going to show all of the things. So the takeaway from this all, because I've been talking for a long time now, and I appreciate those of y'all who've been like watching this whole video, following along with me and all of that. I appreciate that. Give me feedback, leave y'all comments, all of that. I'm telling y'all, we're going to go up this year, and I'm going to talk about more things and get into more things. And I think I kind of want to, like, now that I'm talking about all this, I kind of want to get into like a series of talking about dating and taking a deeper look at this whole perspective of high value this and that and all of that thing. But yeah, so just to sum this all up, when it comes to dating, what I have learned is that it's okay for me to be quote unquote old fashioned. It's okay for me to expect certain things. It's okay for me to have standards. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay for me to have that because I know what it is that I'm willing to deal with and what I'm not willing to deal with. I know my morals, my standards, my belief, how I am as a person. And I know that there are certain things that I'm looking like. I know that I can learn from somebody. I know that I'm a good team player. I know all these things, but I know I'm just not going to sign on anybody's team. I know that I'm just not going to be in the gray area and tolerate this, that. I know what I hold value to. And it's okay. Some people don't think the same way as me. That's okay. That doesn't mean I change it. That doesn't mean I alter it to try to fit in, to try to be what I'm not. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me. I'm a twin. Hell, I came in this world with another human being, and me and her are completely different. So even with me being a twin, I am still my own individual person. And I don't need to try to fit in and to get into the hype of all of this and all of that. It's okay. Listen, I'm still be out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not gonna be on these apps. And I really have more stories about my quick trial run with the apps. So if y'all want to hear more, I can for sure talk about it. But yeah, like I'm just, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm just out here. I experience somebody, I experience somebody. If I don't, I don't. But I'm for sure not gonna sell myself short. And I encourage everybody else, like for those of y'all who are single and who are out here trying to like look to see what's what for them, stick to some of those standards, because most of the times those standards that you have or those values that you have, because I know some people don't like the word standards, but those values and things that you have, sometimes like those are there to help prevent you from getting into a bad situation. Like sometimes people will overlook something and find themselves in a situation and be like, I saw it from the very beginning, but I also thought that this person had potential, which I'm gonna do another video on that. This overlooking somebody and finding quote unquote potential, child, y'all need to stop seeing these red flags and thinking you can deal with the circus, sweetheart. We too grown for circuses. We can't keep doing it. We just cannot keep doing this. So yeah, just stick to your standards, stick to your values and your morals, and have that. Don't necessarily use that as like a list of like, this person has to have X, Y, and Z. If you don't meet this thing on the list, then I can't deal with you at all, because that too can sometimes put you in a situation where you missed out on your blessing. But use it as a guideline. Like use it as where you can go and look back on it and be like, does this person kind of fit what I like do we share similar beliefs? Like, are we interested in the same thing? Like use it as just to double check. When somebody presents themselves to you, you take that for what it is, but then you also kind of look back and like reflect and be like, okay, you match it up. But don't be out here just ignoring all of that for something that you think has value when it's only temporary. Even cars depreciate once it gets off the line, off the car lot, sweetheart. So I don't know why everybody keep thinking this whole, I keep going back to it, but just, it's like, golly, I'm high value and I'm of this and I'm of that. Listen, you could lose it just as quick as you got it. And some people can't always get it back. That's a word. That's a word. So thank y'all for rocking with me, for being here this long in this video. Like I said, I appreciate it. I'm gonna do more of these coming soon. And this is nice or whatever. And yeah, I appreciate it. Let me know if y'all have any ideas y'all want me to talk about, any other topics. Give me your take on anything that I said. If you disagree, let me know if you disagree, because I'm all about, having a healthy debate or conversation. Not a debate, but a conversation. I'm all for it. So yeah, like let me know, and I'll see y'all on the next video.